What what do citizens deserve from our leaders and from those who hold leaders to account? I'm not leaving anyone. What do we deserve from our leaders and those that hold our leaders to account? It's quite important. Because on one side, there was Nelson Chamisa, coming through, arguing that his leadership is being misrepresented here. Somebody's telling fibs here about his leadership. That this story that there were no structures. No, we had structures. We had a constitution. We had elected representatives. And this constitution is there. It's been lodged with national institutions. Go to the court. You find in the constitution. Go to ZEC, you find this constitution. And he was framing whatever it is that was being said as a personal attack against him. It was malicious. It was distracting from the broader struggle for freedom and transformation. A sideshow. Don't listen to this. This is malicious. This is personal. And this is distracting. And in there again, as the citizens were brought in, because he reminded us citizens that movements are built through collective effort, not individual decrees. And he also reminded us that aspects of infiltration, disruption are the consequences of living in an environment that has been created in Zimbabwe. And that right there is not as a result of internal incompetencies. Whatever it is, that you're reading, brilliant, do it. Forget about, internal incompetencies. No, 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 no. But just know that infiltration is part and parcel of the struggle. The ruling party or these authoritarian regimes, they're there to disrupt the activities of the alternatives. Because once you're seen as a threat, they would always want to stop you. So how do they do that? They infiltrate you and cause whatever it is that they cause and weaken you guys, from within. And then on the other hand, WOPO was insisting on accountability. To say accountability requires evidence. We need evidence, not eloquence. Even had, a jibe at what Nelson Chamisa wrote. To say, no, 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 we don't need a thesis here. We don't need to write an essay. If you are saying that if a constitution existed, produce it. To say this is the constitution here. There's no need, for an elaborate, response. If you say that the constitution, produce the constitution. If you say there's a leadership organogram, just produce it. Because we cannot rely on being given narratives alone. That is where the evidence, is coming in. People want to see documentation, verification, and proof. And, to him, you're saying, this is nothing personal. This has got nothing to do with our personal teeth. That's a story for another day. To the aspect of transparency, a test of transparency. A test where the political movements can demonstrate the legitimacy of their internal, processes. That is what Hopo, was saying. But there's a truth to these two perspectives. One coming from Advocate Nelson Chamisa, one coming from the journalist were watching or not, that whatever it is, they've done, whatever it is that they've put out there, it has brought us towards a national conversation. A conversation of what us as citizens must expect, not from Chamisa, not from Hopo, but from every person who says I'm a leader, from every person who says I'm an activist, from every journalist who says I'm here to hold these people to account. Every movement builder, it can be you, it can be me. That right there is a conversation that must be had, that we must have as a people. Because what remains true to power when it comes, or when they say they're speaking truth to power, when it comes to what us, the leadership, what us, the citizens, deserve. We deserve a leadership that is structured, that is transparent, and that is accountable. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what we deserve. We deserve journalism that is responsible, that is factual, and that is fair. That right there is what we deserve as citizens. We deserve to have movements that are built on evidence and not on rumors. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what we deserve. We deserve criticism that is constructive and criticism that is not personal. We want institutions that are stronger than individuals. That is what we deserve, right there. Our politics must be bigger than personalities. Because if these things, ladies and gentlemen, are not made right, if we are not given these things, then the future that we are fighting for, that democratic or citizenocratic Zimbabwe, we cannot build it on ambiguity. Never. We cannot build it on undocumented claims. Never. We cannot build it on personalized battles. Never. But we want that to be built on clarity, truth, and shared standards. That is all what we are asking for. That is all what I'm saying we deserve as a people. We deserve as Zimbabweans. Outside of all this that has happened, that right there, beneath everything, beneath all these things, that reality is a reality that is applicable everywhere. Where we are talking about a democratic Zimbabwe, a democratic society. In this case, a democratic Zimbabwe. So we can make this argument degenerate into who's wrong, who's right, because we're capable of doing that. And we've been doing that all afternoon. We've been doing that ever since this back and forth started. Oh, who's right, who's wrong, who's right, who's wrong. We've been doing that. But how nations are built, or how or how these democratic institutions or nations are built, it is not about blaming one man or attacking another. It is not all about that. I think maybe I'm calling out for too much from us as a people, but it's high time we raise the bar and begin to ask the sort of systems we need, the sort of evidence that we should be demanding, and the kind of culture in terms of accountability that we need to see being built if we want Zimbabwe to be working for each and every one of us. Because the truth of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, is I know, we might be good at, holding conversations, like this. We might be good at scolding, each other. We might be good in, we might be good at, trying to poke holes into some of these, narratives. But for as long as we don't demand a leadership that is answerable, for as long as we don't demand journalism that is responsible, for as long as we don't demand the empowerment of us as the citizens and the evidence that forms the foundation for our political culture, we will never move beyond discussing, personalities. We will never move beyond discussing factions. We will never move beyond emotional politics. And that right there can prevent us from building or from having a nation where we are expecting leaders to be scrutinized, where we are expecting institutions to outlive individuals, and where citizens, not elites, setting of the standards. Because we should be doing that. So anyway, that is the conversation, that I thought, we should be having, today. I know I'm trying to steer this conversation towards a certain, direction. It's going to be hard. It's kind of difficult. But that is not to say that we cannot have conversations. We cannot have discussions that speaks, to these things. After everything has been said and done, after the jibes, after the accusations and counter accusations, after the taking of sides, after the labeling of people, what comes next?